Mahomes and the rush to try to get him towards Tom Brady. I saw this morning on the Twitter heart, and it's a good reminder from Jeff Benedict, who, of course, did the Dynasty book. And I think he's a part of this whole Apple thing that's coming out as well.
Oh, it's based on the book. I believe he's the executive producer. And if you want to hear more from Jeff Benedict, check out the Six Rings podcast this Wednesday when he'll be joining us. We'll be doing a live podcast and giving away copies of the book.
Oh, wow.
To listeners.
Look at you. Look at that.
If I were really good, I'd know the time. I think it's in the afternoon.
Well, that's okay. You know what? You got to plug in, and there you go. But Benedict, that author, Jeff, Mahomes and Reid have won 3 Super Bowls together. Epic. After Tom Brady and Belichick won 3, they stayed together for 15 more seasons, went to 6 more, and won 3 more championships. Let the comparisons begin.
There's no shot of that happening.
Very good and snarky. I love it as well.
No shot. I mean, he's 66 years old. That is the greatest challenge. The 2 greatest challenges to Patrick Mahomes, and I do think he's still a long, long ways away from Brady,
Agreed.
not just numerically. Is A, does he have the maniacal, I'm willing to maybe ruin my marriage and my family to keep doing this for another 15 years?
Yep.
And how does he transition post Andy Reid? Because that's going to happen. He is not going to have Andy Reid around for the entirety of the hunt.
Are you saying Matt Nagy may not have as much success?
Whoever it is. I don't know if it's Matt Nagy, maybe Spags. Does a great job as a D coordinator. I don't know if he's been labeled just a D coordinator now.
But a guy with 4 rings as a I didn't realize he is the first coordinator to win 4.
Pretty good. Better name that boat 4 rings, because Bill likes to count his coordinator rings, so you get to add them to the total.
Well, I was going to say that if Charlie Weiss had hung around, maybe Charlie would have had that record instead of Steve Spagnuolo. But the Kansas City Chiefs win the Super Bowl in overtime, 22-16. And I don't know, where do we begin? What is your big I can't help but sit here today feeling like, God, the 49ers are idiots. I mean, there were bad play calls. There was terrible clock management. You know, we read in The Ringer after the game that the Kansas City Chiefs practiced and walked through the scenarios and went through the scenarios of overtime, and San Francisco players weren't aware. And you've got Kyle Shanahan mentioning that, well, the analytics people have never really done anything like this before.
So?
You're a 44-year-old man who's been standing on it. They profiled you in the freaking pregame of being a zit-faced teenager standing behind dad 30 years ago, and you mean to tell me that you got to go to dorkopotamus.com or have some guy up in the booth to be able to tell you how to manage this, let alone practice for it during the week? Yeah, and this guy's an alleged great head coach and thought of as people as such?
And we had to, if you're the Patriots, you had to try to get somebody who had rubbed elbows with him in a meeting room at one point. That was the original goal of the Patriots staff, which hasn't played out that way. But if he touched a McVay or he touched a Shanahan, we want a piece of him.
The tight pants crew.
Yes.
If you can see their wieners, then they're hireable.
I'm going to leave that one alone. But I don't think you need to be all that intelligent to, or even a football guy or an analytics guy or whatever, to say, here are your options and pick the best one. And even the players, like, okay, so you didn't practice it. I mean, I think you should have at some point mentioned it, like, listen, it could, because you got to expect, you don't go in thinking you're going to blow out Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs.
Right.
You hope, if everything goes right, we hit our big plays, maybe we do, but we could be in a dogfight, and dogfight could go to overtime, so what do we do? Like, I think prior planning prevents piss-poor performance.
Yep.
And in this case, we saw the piss-poor performance where they made a decision, which is not a football decision to me as much as, like, common sense. Like, just common sense.
Yeah, right.
If I took, like, some old lady who'd never coached or played football and said, here are your options. You can have the ball, and then they get the ball. Or they get the ball, and then you get the ball. Or you can defer it 2 quarters away, which I don't really understand that option. Like, we're pretending this is going to be a marathon game and we're going to get to the third quarter of overtime.
Don't get it.
I think the old lady be like, wait, so when I get the ball the second time, I would know exactly what I need to win, tie, or lose? Oh, yeah, that seems like a better scenario. Like, it was a common sense. I don't think that football even needed to be in there, but I'm always amazed. We are convinced all along that these guys are geniuses. They're maniacal preparers. They don't sleep because they're in the office preparing for every single little thing, right? And football is like rocket science. And then you have these instances where history changed. I believe, in my opinion, Andy Reid took a significant step closer to Bill Belichick.
The real legacy coming out of this game is much more, I think, about Andy Reid right now than it is Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, the good.
But the bad is Shanahan's kind of a loser with the game on the line in big games.
How about this? Kyle Shanahan in Super Bowls blew a 25-point third-quarter lead as the Falcons OC.
Yep.
Blows a 10-point fourth-quarter lead as the 49ers head coach, and blew a 10-point second-quarter lead in this Super Bowl. And listen, this is fullback Kyle Juszczyk after the game. Harvard guy.
Smart guy.
And his wife, a burgeoning business now that she's tied into the NFL, making jackets
also
for people like Taylor Swift. And, good
she's
stuff.
Also an attractive young lady.
Very much so. And listen to what this guy said after the game.
You know what? I didn't even realize that the playoff rules were different in overtime, so I assumed you just want the ball because you score a touchdown and win, but I guess that's not the case. So I don't totally know the strategy there.
What are we doing?
I mean,
what the hell
you know what
on?
this is? There's a little bit, and listen, Kyle Shanahan, really good offensive coach. But now we're starting to find out the guys that are one side of the ball coaches that people love to do the no pants dance for. And then there are the coaches who button up all the details. And you hate to go back to Belichick, Reid, Tomlin, people like that who know how to manage it in the moment. I'm just blown away, Hart, that first of all, the overtime rule is stupid. It was overreactionary because, someone didn't get to touch the ball in overtime and all this stuff. So now we've turned it into a Fruity Whip headache. And then we have a guy who doesn't button up the details like that. And you look at Kyle Shanahan's record and you say, this is a really good coach by record. And then you get into moments like this. And isn't this, Hart, where you cement being a good coach? And, of course, we had somebody in the Twitch chat right away with the whole, don't take the cheese. This is all about pumping up Belichick. Don't forget how BB whizzed down his leg in the Super Bowl multiple times. Hart, correct me if I'm wrong. Did we ever sit there after a Super Bowl and say, Bill Belichick mismanaged the clock? He didn't run it on third down when he should have. He didn't teach his team the rules of overtime. There was none of that.
Not generally, but the biggest reason for that is he went 6-3 and said Super Bowls. And when you win, you push these things they get forgotten. They get whitewashed. The scoreboard whitewashes the details.
Standing there staring at the Seahawks, and then Malcolm Butler makes a pick.
I think he screwed the pooch in that situation. I think he played it poorly. But you know what? It didn't matter. Why? Because they won. Because you know who played it more poorly? Pete Carroll and the Seahawks.
Well, exactly right.
Maybe they're both out of football right now because people look back at the end of that game and go, you two boobs both screwed this game up.
Yeah, 10 years later, they're like, why would I want people who have been to Super Bowls? Give me the latest McVay driver.
But this is when you establish your legacy.
Absolutely.
As a quarterback or a coach. Now, I will say it can change because Andy Reid was once Kyle Shanahan. Couldn't win the big game. Clock management was an issue. Was great game planner. Could get you an offense. Could give you a script early.
Had Don McNabb, good quarterback.
Right, but couldn't get over the hump. Or some of the quarterbacks, these the Andy Daltons and the Kirk Cousins of the world that put up long Pro Bowl. For a decade they lead a team. But
Stafford.
Can you win?
Stafford's the most recent example
of everything in L.A.
He did.
And he helped change everything for McVay in L.A. Because the first time McVay peed down his leg. Now, Bill's had a couple. Obviously, you go back to 2007 with the no field goal for Gostowski. He had a rookie kicker. Mm-hmm. He didn't trust him to kick the
44-yarder, whatever it might have been.
And I would also go back to the one I love the most. And I do think, and I said this to you off air. Okay, so Shanahan makes the decision or whatever, maybe an analytics guy. We got a bunch of people. Remember when Mac Jones detailed who's on headsets and you hear all these voices?
Oh, yeah.
Can somebody push their damn button and say, hey, everybody on here, all call. This seems like a dumb idea. Why are we taking the ball? And just for a second, don't be a yes man. Say, maybe we should consider this differently. So I blame everybody because Tom Brady, I think, saved Bill. Remember that famous mic'd up where Bill's deciding against the Rams whether to kick the field goal or not?
Yeah.
And Brady goes, wait, if we kick the field goal, the game's over. And they're like, oh, okay, good call, Tom. Like, even Belichick, I think, in the moment was overthinking it or like
Or
assessing
there's a
too
lot
many
of voices.
Right,
Yeah,
whatever.
but-
And Brady stood up and said, kick the field goal and the game's over.
And when you hear it from a guy like that, because some
Right.
quarterbacks will come over, like Lamar Jackson did at one point, and scream, "No, we got to go for it."
So why can't an assistant coach, a player, Juszczyk,
Right.
McCaffrey,
Ernie.
Debo, Kittle, they've all seen a lot of football. Just because they're not coaches, they've all seen a lot of football, and they all could have said, don't we want the ball second? Wouldn't that make it better for us because we know exactly what we need to do? Somebody. There's how many people? A 50-man roster, 20 coaches on the sideline, 10 in the booth, a scout.
Technically,
Somebody say something.
Technically, Kyle Shanahan has been on an NFL sideline for 30 years.
Whole life.
He's a 44-year. He was talking about being a ball boy in Denver. So
Yeah.
even then, real quick, Shanahan after the game on his overtime decision. Tell me if this isn't the loser's mentality.
It's just something we talked about with, that none of us have a ton of experience of it, but we went through all the analytics and talked with those guys, and we just thought it'd be better. We wanted the ball third. If both teams matched and scored, we wanted to be the ones who had the chance to go win, and we got that field goal, so we knew we had to hold them to at least to a field goal, and if we did, then we felt it was in our hands after that.
Oh, my God.
So stupid.
How about
You gave them the ball with the chance to win.
Right.
Like you were so worried, overthinking it, like we want it third with the chance to win. No. They're going to have the ball second with a chance to win. They know what they need, and it played out perfectly. Now, to some degree, I do go back to you got to move the ball on offense and stop them on defense. Like there's a little bit of execution, but give yourself the best chance. Put yourself in the best position to take an advantageous road to victory. And they didn't do that, and he's supposed to be smart. They're all supposed to be smart, and they didn't. And history will pay. That's going to leave a mark.
And that's the thing is, it's not one, it's not two, it's now 3 instances with Kyle Shanahan. And again, they got 3rd and 4. I look, but before San Francisco ran that 3rd and 4, I'm screaming about Kansas City. Call the timeout with 2:35 to go. Don't let it get to honestly, I thought Reid, horrible clock management there because you convert that on 3rd and 4, you're completely toast. Try to save the time.
But that'll never be said beyond today.
No.
Why?
Because
Final
they
score,
won the game, right?
They won. They win the ring. So all that gets pushed away, and that's the point. Like the scoreboard is the be-all, end-all in this game more than in most games, but in this one more than others. And that's why, to me, the biggest takeaway, Andy Reid is now in the conversation for me of maybe the best coach of this generation, one of the top 10 coaches of all time, wherever you want to put him.
He's now with Bill and
to
Noel
me with Bill,
and Jimmy
like with
Johnson.
Bill for this era,
yeah.
and then pick the couple from the other eras, and then
Right.
throw those in a blender and start debating it.
He's arguably a top 5 coach of all time.
And he's still going.
Yep.
Because guess
We
what?
think.
We now no. He said he's back basically last night, so he's going to get his extension because right now he's the 3rd highest paid coach in his division, which is stupid.
Right.
He makes less than Harbaugh and Sean Payton, 2 guys who can't carry his jock right now. But he's going to be back, so that also means, by the way, Bill's not going to Kansas City. Everybody was trying to talk up that rumor. Oh,
Yeah,
Bill's going to
no.
go join Mahomes, which never made any sense to me.
Bill's lying in wait for Dallas to implode next year.
Week
and then
5.
Jump into
I have
there.
penned week 5.
Well, week 5 already,
Week
huh?
5. He will be
Wow.
the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys.